good morning to everyone, and thank you for tuning in to the Sandton Amateur Radio Club News Bulletin this Sunday morning, the 23rd of November 2025. In a month's time, some of us might even be deciding that it's nearly time to start Christmas shopping. Hi. You are listening to the club station of the Sandton Amateur Radio Club, ZS6STN, which is operated today from the shack of Richard, ZS6STN in Kensington, Johannesburg. This club bulletin is broadcast every Sunday at 8:45 local time on the following frequencies: 145 700 MHz FM in the 2-meter band and 7115 MHz lower side band in the 40-meter band via relay from the shack of Noel, ZR6 Delta X-ray. Thank you very much for that, Noel. Also going out on Echolink, ZS6STN-R. And for those of you who may have missed the bulletin, recordings are uploaded to the club's YouTube channel on www.youtube.com/@ZS6STN, all lowercase, together with the recordings of the club's Power Hour Tech Talks, which there's another one coming up this week. The agenda for the bulletin today: club birthdays, club news, Sorrel news, a special topic of interest, and then call-ins on and swap shop on 40 meters and 2 meters. As far as birthdays go, there are no celebrations this week, but if you missed it, Graham Bussey, ZS6GL, had his birthday last weekend, so congratulations once again, Graham. Now on to some club news. Our UHF repeater is back up and running, and Justin, ZS6JGP, has asked everyone to give it a test and to send in a signal report. He says that the power has increased from 25 watts to 50 watts, so even if you couldn't pick it up before, it is worth giving it another try now. Justin is also reminding us that both repeaters have all-star nodes, but only the VHF repeater, so the 145 700 repeater, is connected to ZAnet. For more info on that, go to www.za-net.org.za. Thanks very much to Justin and to the repeater working group for all your efforts there. Does anyone have any club news or any news that may be of interest to those on frequency? Please call in now. ZS6STN is now listening.
ZS6HI.
Okay, I've got Keith, ZS6HI, and I think that was Justin calling in before Keith. I came through very scratchy. Justin, ZS6JGP, do you want to take a round?
Yes, I do. How's the signal now, ZS6JGP?
Ah, fantastic. Much better. We can understand you a lot better. Thanks, Justin. Please go ahead. ZS6JGP, ZR6 Delta Echo.
Good morning, everyone. Yesterday we commissioned the UHF repeater. We've also linked it up to an all-star node. It's not connected to the ZAnet network, but remotely you can access it. We're having some problems with the Echo link, so we've only got one of the nodes up. But please use the UHF and let us know how it goes. ZS6STN, ZS6 Juliet Golf pop-up.
Great, thanks very much for that update there, Justin. Yes, very well done to you and your team there for the efforts you're putting in. Much appreciated. Keith, you're also on frequency, ZS6HI. Over to you from ZS6STN.
Thank you very much there, Richard, and for quieting into my QTH this morning. Good morning to all on frequency. Yeah, I would just like to indicate that there is a poll on the WhatsApp group regarding club meetups, and I know that at the moment we meet on a Wednesday, the last Wednesday of the month, and we combine that with the Power Hour Tech Talk. So that is coming up on this Wednesday evening. We will have our club meet. The venue will be open from 5:30 in the afternoon, and then we will participate in the Power Hour Tech Talk that takes place at 7 o'clock CAT on Wednesday evening. So be aware that Tech Talk is going to be quite interesting. It's going to be on Baycar 13, and the lead-up and the work that goes into Baycar 13, as well as all the payloads that we have been discussing, that took flight to the edge of space. So that'll be an interesting one. Then I do know that Gerrit, the ZS6GVH, is out in the field this morning, so maybe you want to fire up your HF radios and get him on a POTA site. So I think he's activating the the Field and Study Center this morning. So get Gerrit, the ZS6GVH, on a POTA. And yesterday it was a 40-meter club contest. And yes, we were dodging thunderstorms and lightning strikes and so on and so forth. But there were a number of Santonites on during the 40-meter club contest, and a big thank you to all of those. I heard Dieter, ZS6 Delta Oscar, Mark, ZS6 MDV, amongst others. I don't remember all of them at the moment, but there were a number of Santonites on yesterday. So thank you for getting on air. That's the last club contest of this year. So we will have to wait for the results, and then next year you will have noticed that Brandon has put a challenge onto the WhatsApp group, and he is trying to get participation in the club contests up. And there's some rewards for those who participate in the club contest. So they'll be very interesting. Read it up on the Facebook page, and then diarize to participate in the 40-meter and 80-meter club contests during the course of next year. That'll be exciting. Then I think that's all from me, Richard. ZS6STN, ZS6HI.
Super. Thanks very much for that update there, Keith. Very interesting about the club contesting team as well that Brandon's working on. So look forward to that. And yes, also find out from our members when we want to meet up, when is a good time to meet at our clubhouse. So thank you very much for that. Is there anyone else with any club news or items of interest? ZS6STN standing by.
ZS6 Mike Delta X-ray.
ZS6 MDX. Please take around.
ZS6STN, ZS6MDX. Thanks very much, Richard. And just adding on Keith's comments on the club contest yesterday, it's very enjoyable. It's a lot of, I think it was in the field as well. A couple of guys wanted to get out there. Unfortunately, a lot of rain and lighting out in our area. It looked like it affected the whole area. But still managed to get a good couple of contacts in the log, and definitely a fun activity. So I do encourage anybody who's listening to fire up the HF rigs and get in there. Definitely worth it. Thanks, man. Thanks for the guys that are organizing all of that, and also Brandon's incentive for everybody to play along. Thanks, Richard. Back to you there. ZR6 Delta Echo operating ZS6ST and ZS6MDX.
Yeah, great. Thanks very much for that input there, Mark. Yes, great fun for the contesters, and we encourage people to join in on behalf of our club on the club contest. It's not just about the individual contests. So great input there. Thanks very much, Mark. Let's go now to the SARL News Bulletin for today, for Sunday the 23rd of November 2025. In the news today, South African Draft Radio Frequency Plan version 2 and Pico Balloon News. But first, SARL Science and Technology Work Group, STWG, is giving a report back. 2 members of the SARL Science and Technology Work Group attended the recent African Telecommunications Union virtual meeting. Brian Jacobs, ZS6YZ, attended day 1, while James Archibald, ZS6NS, attended both days. On day 1, the input document Strengthening the Role of Amateur Radio in Africa was presented by Dr. Alfred Boger, I think it is, from Uganda. The chairman requested that examples of where amateur radio has played a key role in emergency communications be incorporated and that the document be updated. James, ZS6NS, submitted a summary of 8 past instances of amateur radio involvement in disasters for Dr. Berger for inclusion in the document. It was also suggested that hyperlinks to the respective societies be included in the final document. The December Radio ZS, the closing date for your article for the December issue of Radio ZS is Wednesday, 26 November this week. Send your article in MS Word or OpenOffice to radiozs@sarl.org.za. The South African Draft Radio Frequency Plan version 2. Members of the SARL STWG met on Thursday evening to discuss the implications that the new plan may have on amateur radio. It was an enormous task to review the 430 pages of the report, as it involves studying the South African and ITU Region 1 footnotes and their possible Members of the STWG will continue working on the documents and meet in early December to finalize the SARL's response. It was decided that the SARL will apply to make a presentation at the public hearing on 15 and 16 January. The STWG meeting was attended by Brian Jacobs, ZS6YZ, Ray Weber, ZS6RSW, Guy Eels, ZS6GUY, James Archibald, ZS6NS, and Hans van der Groenendaal, ZS6AKV. The STWG is a SARL volunteer work group focusing on science, technology, and amateur radio regulatory environment, both locally and internationally. If you have an interest and would like to contribute your time and expertise, please contact the convener by email at hans, H-A-N-S, at intercom, intekom.co.za. Meetings of the STWG are held virtually. Do you need a book? Get it on Black Friday. The SA Amateur Radio Development Trust online bookshop is offering a Black Friday discount on all stock items this Black Friday. For more details, visit www.amateurradio.org.za. This offer is valid until 15 December 2025. Pico Balloon News. The high-altitude Pico Balloon ZS1ERZ-12 completed its 8th circumnavigation of our planet on Monday, 17 November. As of Friday, 21 November, it has been 96 days since the launch, and the balloon has traveled over 272,000 kilometers. During this lap, it spent a few days near the Antarctic station DPO-GBN. From there, it headed north to the Indian Ocean. However, when last heard, it was traveling again southeast towards Antarctica. In club news, the Sandton ARC November Power Hour Tech Talk is coming this Wednesday evening, the 26th of November at 1900 local time. We will be delving into the Bakar 13 mission that flew to the edge of space on 11 October and all the payloads that it carried deep into the stratosphere. You'll hear all about what is needed to fly Bakar and perhaps even why we do this, as it's a tad more involved than flying a Pico balloon. You also hear the details of the various payloads, what was achieved and what data was collected. You'll also get to see some of the awesome photos and videos that were obtained. Be warned, this presentation may fire up your motivation to build your own payload, or at the very least celebrate the experimentation and learnings that are part of the Bakar experience. Please spread the word and join us this coming Wednesday evening, 26 November, 1900 Central African Time, for the Power Hour Tech Talk on Zoom. The Zoom meeting ID is 819-7366-6605, and the passcode is 161225. Come along and see another awesome facet of our amateur radio hobby in action and be inspired. The propagation report, Hannes Kutsia, ZS6BZP, reports that the solar activity is expected to be at low levels during the week. There are currently 5 sunspot regions with simple magnetic configurations visible. There is moderate to high probability for C-class and a low probability for M-class solar flares. If you want to do your own frequency predictions, the expected effective sunspot number for the week will be around 50. The 30 to 10 meter bands may provide some good DX fun. Please visit the website spaceweather.sansa.org.za for more information. Finally, a diary of some upcoming events. Most important on the 26th of November is the Sandton Power Hour Tech Talk. Hi. On the 29th and 30th of November is the CQWW-CW contest. 1st of December is the start of December Yota month. And the 6th of December is the ZS6 PTA flea market, as well as the ZS4 SRK club meetings. The Pretoria flea market coming up. And the 6th and 7th of December, the ARRL 160 meter contest. 11th of December is International Mountain Day, a challenge to all our SOTA activators out there. And then on the 13th and 14th of December is the Geminids meteor shower, as well as the ARRL 10-meter contest. This concludes the Zorro Bulletin for this morning, which you have listened to a news bulletin written by Kevin Berger, ZS6STN, and proofread by Herman Erasmus, ZS6STN. Right, finally, today's topic of interest. In the last week, we've heard and seen pictures of the spectacular aurora, which has been visible from higher latitudes than usual due to a geomagnetic storm. So I thought we would have a look at the Carrington event, which was the most intense geomagnetic storm in recorded history. Peaking on 1 to 2 September 1859 during solar cycle 10, it created strong auroral displays that were reported globally and caused sparking and even fires in telegraph stations. The geomagnetic storm was most likely the result of a coronal mass ejection, CME, from the Sun colliding with Earth's magnetosphere. The geomagnetic storm was associated with a very bright solar flare on 1 September 1859. It was observed and recorded independently by British astronomers Richard Carrington and Richard Hodgson, and these are the first records of a solar flare. A geomagnetic storm of this magnitude occurring today has the potential to cause widespread electrical disruptions, blackouts, and damage to the electrical power grid. On 1 and 2 September 1859, one of the largest geomagnetic storms as recorded by ground-based magnetometers occurred. Estimates of the storm strength range from minus 0.80 to minus 1.75 microteslas. A tesla is a unit of magnetic flux density. The geomagnetic storm is thought to have been caused by coronal mass ejection, or CME, that traveled directly towards the Earth, taking 17.6 hours to make the 150 million kilometer journey. Typical CMEs take several days to arrive at Earth, but it is believed that the relatively high speed of this CME was made possible by a prior CME, perhaps the cause of the large aurora event on 29 August that cleared the way of ambient solar, wind and plasma for the Carrington event. Just before noon on 1 September 1859, the English astronomers Richard Carrington and Richard Hodgson independently recorded the earliest observations of a solar flare. Carrington and Hodgson compiled independent reports which were published side by side in monthly notices of the Royal Astronomical Society and exhibited their drawings of the event at the November 1859 meeting of the Royal Astronomical Society. Because of a geomagnetic flare effect called a magnetic crochet, which was observed in the Kew Observatory magnetometer and recorded by Scottish physicist Balfour Stewart, and a geomagnetic storm observed the following day, Carrington suspected a solar-terrestrial connection. However, he was not sure whether the two phenomena were related, writing that one follow does not make summer. Worldwide reports of the effects of the geomagnetic storm of 1859 were compiled and published by American mathematician Elias Loomis, which supports the observations of Carrington and Stewart. Before we look at the impact on telegraphs, it's useful to just recap. The telegraph was invented in the early 19th century, and by 1840 it had become the standard way to send urgent messages. By the latter half of the century, most developed nations had commercial telegraph networks with local telegraph offices in most cities and towns. Beginning in 1850, submarine telegraph cables allowed for the first rapid communication between people on different continents. The telegraph's near-instant transmission of messages across and between continents had widespread social and economic impacts. The telegraph led to Marconi's invention of wireless telegraphy, the first means of radio wave communication, which he began in 1894, so that's after the Carrington event. Because of the geomagnetically induced current from the electromagnetic field during the Carrington event, telegraph systems all over Europe and North America failed, in some cases giving their operators electric shocks. telegraph pylons through sparks, and some operators were able to continue to send and receive messages despite having disconnected their power supplies. Load shedding, anyone. The following conversation occurred between two operators of the American telegraph line between Boston, Massachusetts and Portland, Maine on the night of 2 September 1859. Boston says, please cut off your battery power source entirely for 15 minutes. Portland replies, we'll do so. It is now disconnected. Boston, mine is disconnected and we are working with the auroral current. How do you receive my writing? Portland, better than with batteries on. Current comes and goes gradually. Boston, my current is very strong at times and we can work better without the batteries, as the aurora seems to neutralize and augment our batteries alternately, making current too strong at times for our relay magnets. Suppose we work without batteries while we are affected by this trouble. Portland, very well, shall I go ahead with business? Yes, go ahead. The conversation was carried on for around 2 hours using no battery power at all and working solely with the current induced by the aurora. The first time on record that more than a word or two was transmitted in such a manner. Other impact was on auroras. Auroras were seen around the world in the northern and southern hemispheres. It was reported that people in the northeastern United States could read a newspaper by the aurora's light. The aurora was also visible from the poles to low latitude areas such as Mexico, Cuba, Hawaii, Queensland, southern Japan and China, New Zealand, and even at lower latitudes very close to the equator such as Colombia. Similar events. Another strong solar storm occurred in February 1872. Less severe storms also occurred in 1921, 1938, 1941, 1958, 59, and 60. When widespread radio disruption was reported, the flares and CMEs of the August 1972 solar storms were similar to the Carrington event in size and magnitude. However, unlike the 1859 storms, they did not cause an extreme geomagnetic storm. The March 1989 geomagnetic storm knocked out power across large sections of Quebec, while the 2003 Halloween solar storm registered the most powerful solar explosions ever recorded. On 23 July 2012, a Carrington-class solar superstorm, solar flares, CME, and solar electromagnetic pulse was observed, but its trajectory narrowly missed Earth by a margin of roughly 9 days. In 2013, a joint venture from the researchers at Lloyd's of London and in the US used data from the Carrington event to estimate the cost of a similar event in the present to the US alone at $600 billion to 2.6 trillion US dollars. That's roughly 3.6 to 15.5% of the US annual GDP. In addition to this effect on the general economy, there's also research that highlights the potential consequences on agriculture. The effect here is indirect, meaning via the loss of access to supplies like fertilizer and pesticides due to disrupted industrial production. There has been estimated to potentially reduce yields by 38 to 48% globally, with yield losses of up to 75% in some areas like Central Europe. Okay, that info is courtesy of Wikipedia. So how do we protect our gear from this sort of damage? Something we all need to think about. My imperfect solution is to store some radios in an old microwave oven as a primitive Faraday cage. Don't switch it on. Hi. Thank you very much to everyone out there for listening and for your interest and participation this morning. We trust that you've enjoyed the bulletin, and please feel free to contribute ideas, comments, or any constructive criticism to info@ZS6STN.org.za. That's our club email address. And as always, thank you to the stations that assisted with relays and those who contribute the content from time to time, and also to Marius, who does that recording of the bulletin for us to put up on our YouTube page. Don't forget about that club poll that keeps just mentioned on our WhatsApp group. If you want to be added to the WhatsApp group, if you're not on, send an email to info@zs6stn.org.za as well, and we will put you on. But don't forget to fill in that poll about when you would like meetings at our clubhouse, basically over the weekend or during the week, or if you're not available to come to meetings at all. And then please join us next Sunday at 8:45 Central African Time for the regular bulletin of the Sandton Amateur Radio Club. This brings to a close the weekly club bulletin of the Sandton Amateur Radio Club, ZS6STN, today operated by Richard, ZR6 Delta Echo. Thank you to all, and 7-3. ZS6STN now relinquishes all frequencies for general use. 7-3 everyone, bye-bye.